son of the former lifeguard jumped from the deck of the anchored boat in his clothes and started swimming as fast as possible, keeping his eyes on the victim.
"He thinks you're drowning," the man said to his wife, who had voiced a moment ago, playing in the sea as they swam on a strip of sand with water reaching up to their necks.
"We're all right. What the hell is he doing?"
she asked, a little annoyed.
"We're all right," the husband shouted, signaling for him to leave, but the captain continued to swim as fast as he could.
"Move,"
he shouted as he passed among the astonished owners of the boat, since right behind them, not even 3 meters away, their 9-year-old daughter was drowning, and immediately after,
"Daddy," she whispered, and burst into tears, the little girl, now safe above the surface of the water, in the captain's hands.
Really, how did the captain understand from a distance of about 15 meters that the girl was drowning while her parents didn't even understand anything? I think it's something we all need to learn. Drowning is not the violent cry for help by clapping our hands in the water, as most people think. The captain, as a former lifeguard, was trained to recognize drowning, while the parents had the wrong impression, like most of us, that drowning looks like the one we have been trained on television. With the shaking of hands, the pounding of the water, the desperate voices and the call for help, the impressive signs that are rarely encountered in reality. Perhaps this false impression, which leads to the wrong conclusions, is the reason why so many drownings happen almost next to us, in the sea, or even in the most guarded environment of a swimming pool, and we all wonder, how did no one understand it? If you ask people how they would tell if someone was drowning, even at a close distance, most would describe hands clenched in the water, shouts and cries for help, some form of shaming. As experts on the subject say, drowning is deceptive and almost always a quiet incident. There is minimal splashing, no hand waving or shouting or calling for help of any kind. The respiratory system is designed for breathing, and speech is a secondary function. Obviously, breathing proceeds when someone drowns and sinks. When the mouths of drowning people are above the surface of the water, they exhale and inhale quickly while their mouths begin to sink below the surface of the water. The instinctive reactions of a drowning person are as follows, as he described them in an article in the magazine On Scene. People who are drowning cannot move their hands for help. They instinctively extend them sideways to press down on the surface of the water so that they can take their mouths out of the water to breathe. But there is not enough time above the surface of the water for them to exhale, inhale, and scream for help.
However, this does not mean that a person who screams for help, who is in an anxious state in the water, who makes sudden and convulsive movements, does not face a serious issue, but he is still able to help in his rescue, to grab ropes, life jackets. From a physiological point of view, people who drown can't stop drowning. They struggle to keep themselves on the surface of the water, and they can't perform the movements they would like. Like waving their hands for help, or reaching out to grab some rescue equipment, or moving towards someone who will help them. From the beginning to the end of the instinctive drowning response, people's bodies remain upright in the water, without any trace of supportive kicks with the feet, unless rescued by a trained lifeguard Drowning people can only struggle on the surface of the water for 20 to 60 seconds before sinking. Head low in the water, mouth at water surface, level head tilting backwards, mouth open, eyes frozen and empty, unable to focus, eyes closed, hair on forehead or eyes, not using legs in an upright position, asthma or struggle, trying to swim in a certain direction but failing. They try to turn on their backs. It seems as if they are trying to climb an invisible ladder. The most common indication that someone is drowning is that they do not appear to be drowning. It may seem deceptively as if they are swimming upright, waving arms and legs, with their gaze upset, looking to hold on somewhere. A good way to make sure is to ask a question.
Are you okay?
If he is able to answer, obviously it is. If he looks with a blank eye, he has less than 30 seconds to help him. Although I came close to saying goodbye to life with bubbles a couple of times, none of this ever crossed my mind, even though I partially experienced some. This post was written after a relevant article that I read, by the way, on the internet, and at least seemed useful as knowledge for everyone. Let's not make the dear mistake of blaming the state, thinking or saying why we don't have all this on TV, or that they should be taught in schools. I think it's good for us to do what we have to. Let's take a minute to share it with our friends. Even if one of our fellow human beings is saved at some point, it's worth it. Even if one of our fellow human beings is saved at some point, it's worth it. Friend of friends, always and everywhere, Nicholas Alexandrinos. And